Hi, I'm Jeremy, and going to be talking about deploy, release, CI/CD, oh my, or slicing and dicing DevOps word salads. All right, so while it seems that every week we have new terms that tend to appear on the landscape to describe DevOps tools, segments, ideas, practices, etc., are they really all that new? You have CI/CD, progressive delivery, AIOps, GitOps, TreeOps. Okay, not real. But who knows? And maybe it will be next week. And probably, as the side note, I literally registered devtreeops.com for this talk. I have over 20 domains that are really doing nothing. Hi, I'm Jeremy Meiss. I have a problem. I am the director of DevRel and Community at CircleCI. We are a continuous integration, continuous delivery platform. And you can find me on the Twitterverse at IamJerdog or on Polywork at timeline.jerdog.me. Okay, so with all these terms that are out there, are they all the same, or are they just kind of reimagining last week's buzzwords? Sometimes it feels like companies, they like to kind of chop up a lot of these buzzwords, throw them all together, create a new service, a new VC-backed venture, and then voila, we have a new DevOps salad. So as we think about the DevOps lifecycle, there's the hope, and then there's the reality. John Allspaw called it work is imagined versus work is done. And I think this image here kind of really illustrates this. There's that hope of how we want things to go. And then there's the reality that, a lot of us fall into. So what I want to do is kind of start with some of the more recent trendy terms and ideas or buzzwords, and then finish with some more foundational elements. So we'll start with AIOps. Gartner coined the term AIOps, which is short for Artificial Intelligence for IT Operations, and defines it as AIOps combines big data and machine learning to automate IT operations processes, including event correlation, anomaly detection, and causality determination. Those all seem to be buzzwords in and of themselves, but they're Gartner, they can coin the term. Another way to put this was at Wikipedia, and it says there is it's an industry category for machine learning analytics technology that enhances IT operations analytics. In these tasks kind of mentioned here would be things like automation, performance monitoring, and event correlations, among others. Now, an AIOps platform has two main aspects. One is machine learning, and the other is big data. In order to collect data from the big data platform for the purposes of observing it and engaging with it, you have to shift away from kind of that segregated IT data towards a holistic machine learning and analytics strategy. The goal then would be to receive continuous insight so you can continuously fix and improve via automation. In its simplest form, which this image looks really simple, an AIOps platform helps aggregate and make sense of disparate data sources, identifying the links and interrelationships between different silos, and then helps predict the events, prescribe solutions, and then act based on real-time data streams. All right, the next term, GitOps. So this one is relatively new, and there isn't even a Wikipedia page for it. It's just started appearing in the last few years and is actually newer than AIOps. And there's not even a page for Git space ops. So I feel like this is a big oversight by the DevOps word salad gods to not have anything on Wikipedia for GitOps or Git space ops. And so this should probably be rectified soon. I'm sure someone out there is going to jump on that and make it a new thing. Now, Weaveworks themselves kind of describes GitOps as it's a way to do Kubernetes cluster management and application delivery. It attempts to take existing continuous delivery and infrastructure as code principles, which are non-tool specific, and then repackage them all down into tool-specific activities. So GitOps kind of being a tool-specific thing instead of the overarching non-tool specific principles. It kind of has these activities would be the entire system is described declaratively. The canonical system state is versioned in Git, and then approved changes can be automatically applied. And then software agents ensure correctness and alert on any divergence that might be there. Now, as I've seen it over the last few years, this term never ceases to carry its own weight and controversy on DevOps Twitter every so often, right up there with whether HTML is code and others. So for a great activity, go out and search GitOps, and you'll be treated to some interesting debate. Okay, so progressive delivery. Now this is a new term, and new, it's 2 years, so that's kind of new in this kind of field. It was coined by James Governor of RedMonk after hearing about Microsoft's progressive experimentation model for feature rollouts. He wanted to capture a wide range of new software development practices that went beyond just continuous integration and continuous delivery. And so he said that progressive delivery is continuous delivery with fine-grained control over the blast radius. Adam Zeman, formerly VP of Product at LaunchDarkly, realized that feature management would be a key enabler of this new progressive delivery model, a model that's defined by dark launches, feature flagging, testing in production, canary launches, blue-green deployments, A/B testing, and so on. And so there are two tenets that kind of make up this progressive delivery methodology. And they are release progression, and this refers to adjusting the number of users exposed to and impacted by new features at a pace that's appropriate to your business. You can perform release progressions in a variety of ways, via targeted rollouts, canary launches, ring deployments, percentage rollouts, and so on. You might also think of a release progression as a progressive deployment or progressive release. The second piece is a progressive delegation. So this refers to progressively delegating the control of a feature to the owner who's most closely responsible for the outcome of that feature, or of the overall product. A simple way to think about this is, initially engineers, they control a feature. They're the ones that are, responsible for building it and testing it, and so that makes sense. But once the feature has been tested, it makes more sense for a product manager, or the PM in this case, to go and control the process of launching that feature, and then letting the engineers get back to engineering. So CI/CD, this is our next thing that we'll jump into, refers to continuous integration and continuous delivery. And we're going to separate those terms out a bit so we get a little clearer definition here. So continuous integration. It's a practice that encourages developers to integrate their code into a main branch of a shared repository early and often. So instead of building out features in isolation and integrating them at the end of a development cycle, code is integrated with the shared repository by each developer multiple times throughout the day. Continuous integration is a key step to digital transformation. So continuous integration, kind of the what it is every developer commits daily to a shared mainline. Every commit triggers an automated build and test. And then if build and test fails, it's repaired quickly within minutes, and the cycle continues until everything passes. And then the why of continuous integration would be like improve team productivity, efficiency, happiness. Find problems, solve them quickly, and then release higher quality, more stable products. Now, continuous delivery is the practice of ensuring that software is always ready to be deployed. Part of that is testing every change you've made. So in addition, you've also made that effort to package up the actual artifacts that are going to be deployed. Perhaps you've already deployed those artifacts to a staging environment. So continuous delivery requires continuous integration. They go hand in hand. You can't have continuous delivery without continuous integration. Relying on the same underlying principles for both of them, that you're cutting work into small increments. Now, over the years, I've noticed that a lot of IT professionals and vendors confuse the words deploy and release. And there's actually a big difference, and a lot of IT professionals are not aware of this or haven't really been exposed to it. And so I'm going to kind of break this down into how release and deploy are independent and crucial steps in your process of shipping software. So deploy. A deploy or a deployment includes all of the technical activities that are needed to make a software system or feature available for use. You can think of a Docker container running in a pod on the Kubernetes cluster. The piece of software passed all the tests in your CI/CD pipeline and is ready to receive traffic from production users, but it's not actually receiving any of that traffic yet. So this part of the process is just to make sure that the new version is healthy and running smoothly. It takes care of all the technical checks and balances without any other risk incurred by actually serving production traffic. You can conclude that kind of deploying a piece of software is a mundane and relatively should be risk-free activity. You can get the software out there, can start to be testing, and this is where maybe you might have some progressive pieces here to get it so that you know that it's ready to go. Now deployments are related to the overall continuous delivery process, but they tend to be more automated, thus getting them ready to be released. So when you're ready, it's ready to get kicked out there. Now the release itself, a release comes after a deployment and includes all of the activities that are needed to move part of or all production traffic to the new version. All of the risks and things that could go wrong, like downtime, lost revenue, a bad customer experience, are related to the release and not to the deploy to production. Releasing software is a risky activity that needs to be done in a slow, controlled fashion. The release cycle is the overall process of deploying software to an environment and then ensuring that all of the deployments in a release are functioning and performing as expected. So one could view release processes and release management as related to the continuous delivery concept, but that they're actually individual processes themselves. This would be where practices like progressive delivery or release orchestration would come in, assigning version tags, different segments of people, users that would be using it, so on. Okay, so hopefully have been able to break down some of these kind of overarching things that all kind of relate to DevOps and the different word salads and touching on release and deploy and how they're different. Would love to have more conversation around this as you kind of think about what we've talked about. If you have any questions, you can find me on Twitter at IamJaredog. You can also find me on LinkedIn, timeline.jaredog.me. And yeah, thank you. I appreciate you coming to the talk.